can I really affect what I'm doing here? For example, when I first met Krister, and the company you're representing, I think was not existing at that time. So imagine all of what you have here, all of what you have achieved together did not exist 15 years ago, just 15. And it was your boss and all of you together that built it from the ground up. And that's a huge success. That in many ways, building something that is so great. And going in this direction, I would say, the reason why it happened and why Krister succeeded was because he made the effort, because he took the challenges. He invited you guys to join his team, and you supported him. Is that right? Now, how often does it happen that we do not achieve success because we do not put enough effort? But you did. And I think that's very important. And by the way, have any of you received a promotion at work? Like they did something and then they got upgraded to a different position or different kind of work which was more interesting or more valuable? Any of you? So, why was it? Did you perform well, or rather, you did a very poor job, and they said, okay, let's take them up because they're doing no good here?
We did well.
You probably did well, yes. Actually, that's what I think you did. So, being engaged and delivering helps us grow. So, if you're looking for the future, if any of you want to go further in life and succeed more, you have to deliver more. There's no other way. Now, it could be that some of you are thinking, is this the company I want to live forever? Maybe yes, maybe no, you never know. But for sure, for very many, or even most of you, if you do deliver, you'll be acknowledged. And you will receive more benefits, and you will grow within the company. Because if Krister says, am I allowed to talk about the ambitious goal? Which I heard? Okay, so Krister told me, we want to grow 10 times within like 5 years. In the industry, we're just beginning to learn. Now, if that's true, that means all of you have to be promoted, like all of you. Because we need like 10 times more people. So all of you have to become very good managers. So, in a perspective, that's a huge opportunity for all of you. Now, when talking about being engaged and the influence we have in life, like on this picture, some people say, well, what can I do? Well, really, what can he do? Because people in this situation very often say, can I actually influence what I'm doing, my state of life, where I'm living, how I'm working, how much I'm earning, how my health is, how I look? So the question for you, do you find people in that situation where they're actually saying, I cannot do anything, while they're actually sawing the branch on which they're sitting? Give me an example. By the way, for the people that will be more engaged, I prepared something special. I have a few books to give you as gift, so Anya will be looking out who is the most engaged, who will be the most asking the best questions, the most interested, and we'll make sure you get something. Okay, so once again, do you know a case where some of your friends maybe, he's sick, he doesn't feel well too often? No, let's not go that direction. But internally, somebody's sick very often, doesn't feel very well, has problem with the way his skin maybe, and so on. Probably, we would say, maybe does not often at work complains about his health and so on. What probably is the reason for that? if you would say like a general assumption? Mindset would be one. In general? Depression could be depression. But more often than not, what do we do when it comes to what we eat? Do most of us eat well, or rather so-and-so? So if you look at the people who are constantly ill, that are obese, that are out of shape, complain, most of them don't eat well. So actually, that's what they are doing. And the question to you, do you know anybody who's doing just that? And that's something you can influence. So I would recommend and I would ask you to challenge. Maybe you can really change the way you perceive your opportunity, your entourage, what is around you. And you always can deliver more, can do more. Now, as Anya presented me, she told you that I'm an expert in something called TOC, and I will come back to that, what that means, the theory of constraints. But when I was actually going to one of my first conferences, I think it was 2006, I was flying to my first conference, I was standing at the airport, and waiting and reading books, like I mostly do at an airport. So I was reading a book, I was waiting, and somebody comes up and asks me to make a photo. I want you to ask me to just do a photo. So I did a photo, not giving it too much consideration, but when it happens for the second time within 2 minutes, I address the fellow that I'm doing the photo of and saying, you must be famous, since somebody wants a photo with you. Because it's the second person that's approaching me to make a photo with this gentleman. So I don't know who that is at that point. So obviously, if somebody is that many people know a celebrity, probably he's important. Maybe he's famous. Maybe he's rich. Anyway, so a few hours pass. I finish reading the book. I'm on the plane, and in the meantime, I recall who that was. So, as you probably know, 200 people probably recognized who that was before I did, but actually I did at some point. And I said, well, I finished my book, so, well, I'll approach him. Maybe we can talk and, make friends. So I went to see that guy and say, look, man, I think you have an interesting life. I would like to meet you and talk to you. You mind sitting next to you? And he said, yeah, why not? So we sit there and we spend like 5 hours over that flight. And although in all of my life, it didn't mean that much, but I had the opportunity to talk to the world champion in boxing and sit to him while he was flying to Chicago for the international championships. And what I'm saying is that most of us have a lot of opportunities, and most of us don't use them very well. And I would encourage you, when you see such an opportunity, to try to use it. Try to go out of your comfort zone. Something we don't do that often, do we? So what I'm saying here is that in many cases, and there's a famous quote which says, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Obviously, I was prepared to address this guy, but I had luck. And then I said, well, let's talk to him, let's try. What's the worst that can happen? If I approach a guy and say, oh, let's talk, what can he say? I don't want to. He can say something rude. Who cares? Anyway, and I've met all sorts of people like that over the years, but it's another story. So I said I would tell you what TOC is. So TOC is an acronym for tiered constraints. And if we would say that in a very short concept, we can compare a company to a chain. And if we look at the weakest chain, that's where the constraint is. Now, normally companies are managed this way, that you try to improve everything everywhere. Now, this is not the way we teach. We want to focus on the area where we have the constraint, which is the weakest link. By the way, what is the weakest link in your company? I won't answer that right now. Anyway, So, if we were looking for the weakest link, we know that improving this weakest link makes the most sense. Does it not? Now, let's imagine that for whatever reason, Anya stands up and says, look guys, we want to improve the company. Each table looks for a solution. Will all of you be looking for a solution within the whole company or only within your small environment, within your part of the company? Mostly. So what you'll be mostly doing is improving this link, this link, this link, and only a fraction of the effort, all of us, will be focused on the right link, on the weakest one. So what I'm saying here today is that for the future, the value for you is to always look for the weakest link and always question, how can I improve what is the weakest? Now, the next thing I wanted to address is, am I resisting the change? Because let's assume we want to go forward. Let's assume we have this plan. Have you read a book, Who Took My Cheese? Who read that book? Hands up. Kto zabrał mój ser? Great book. It's a story where there's two mice and two people, and the question is who is the most open to change? And when I first read that book, I thought I wasn't that open at that time. I thought I was like very reluctant to the change I should be doing. But the question to you is, how open are you to change? So, if I could ask you, just try to do an exercise. Imagine that one is like the most open person. You have a change, you run at it. You just do it right away, whatever. You don't even look if it's really better, you just do it. By the way, this is the definition from the book. Now, 2 is like you're very optimistic, so you go rather quickly. 3, you're very secure, but if you're convinced, you move. And 4 is generally that you're so stubborn, whatever happens, you never change. So, can we just do an exercise when I was saying now, because I don't want you to be, to look at other people, what they're saying. My question, can you just prepare a number between 1 and 4? So as I said, 1, I'll change before even really knowing what I want. 4, I'll never change. From 1 to 4, could you just take your hand up and show me a number of fingers for the number which you represent, from 1 to 4. Again, 1, you're very, very open to change. 4, you never change. So what is it? So most 2s and 3s, I think that's very nice. Number 1, yeah, that's great. No, that's me, not me. I did that, but that's not me. I'm number 2. So look, whatever area you're looking in life, it's always a question if we are really open to change. I encourage you to be open to change. Because a life is not worth living if you don't go forward.
Yes, I have one question, because you mentioned that at the beginning you were not so open. What did you do to become more open? Because it's easy to say, okay, we need to be more open, but how should it be done?
I think that there's a few things that can be done. First, first thing I would recommend is really reading the book. The book is short, it's not very expensive, you read it in like half an hour, and only reading the book gives you a re-evaluation of yourself, because you look at yourself and you say, well, actually, it's so stupid. Why would I be number 3, not number 2? It doesn't make any sense, because it was like more and more number 3. And if you just read the book, that was the game changer for me, actually. But there's a second thing. Most people resist change for a very precise reason. And the reason is that they do not understand the change they're approaching. So if you don't really understand what is before you, so for example, you're considering a diet, let's say, if you don't really understand what that means and what will happen, you're always more scared than reality, most cases. So understanding what this means very often causes us to be more open to change. So that would be my second thought. I would also look more to dive into the benefits of what the change means for us. And by the way, I will send you a link to a video about how to convince people to change. It's a beautiful animated short clip. I will send it to Anya and she can distribute to you to give you a different perspective how to convince people to change. Okay, we have to run because we have more stuff today. Now, one more story. I'll tell you a story about resistance to change. That's a good one. Now, I'm at a workshop, which I often am, at a Polish company in the south of Poland, and we're discussing a strategy to grow the company, kind of like Christer, like 10 times or something in that area, really ambitious. And we have a vision where we want to go. And then comes into the room a guy that's late. Now, I mostly talk to people by their pre-name because it's always easier. You talk between yourself by your names, 4 names. So this is what I mostly do. So, and I tell him, sir, I know you're late, but we agreed on a contract. We're talking about our names, and whatever you want me to call you, just write in the name, and please do not disturb because we have a big group, we have a big project. It's very important. Anyway, so this guy starts to arguing about that he doesn't really want to be part of the change. But anyway, he's upset, he's unhappy, anyway, he's disturbing the group. So at some point I go back to him after, 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, say, look, we want the company to change. This is the intention of your bosses, they're sitting just there, two co-owners. And we want to deliver this result. And we need you on board. But if you're not ready to change, maybe this room is not for you. And this guy, at this point, starts standing up and leaving the room. Real story. So I'm not really happy because I try not to cause that kind of trauma during workshops. But he's disturbing us, he's disturbing other people, he's being rude. I have to, make some action. So I tell him, and at this point I'm saying, we really want you in the room, sir, but we want you engaged. And he's still leaving, so he left. By the way, true story, I didn't know who that was. He was a vice president of the company, CFO. So actually it was the guy paying my checks, which I didn't know. Yeah. He got fired a week later. For not being on board with the change. Now, I'm saying that because we need to be on the same boat with Christer. He needs us, he needs our support, he needs our work, he needs our effort. We will fail, we will make mistakes, but what is important, we have to support. This is, it's not a question of, if we make mistakes. The question if we support. If we support, we're on the right side. Anyway, so, and by the way, if you would think that this is a one-time case, I have seen that kind of cases of board members resisting change over and over again in many companies. I'm saying that because this is very hard. Change is hard. This is what you said, yeah? That it's not easy. Now, to change, we need a goal. Now, I want to share a story with you. By the way, this is a story that used to be told by one of my great teachers. I don't know if you know Zig Ziglar, an American teacher, very good. If you speak good English, he has brilliant audiobooks. Oh, he's not with us for many, many years already, but he's a teacher from like the 80s, 90s, great audiobooks. Anyway, so he says the following story. There's a great archman łucznik that used to live in the beginning of the 20th century. And the story was that he was so good, he started in over 180 competitions and never lost a single time. He won every single competition he entered for many, many years. Understood, everyone? Now, and this is a beautiful story. And I will come in the shoes of my teacher, so I will tell the story this way. But I am a great instructor in this area. And I can teach any of you how to shoot an arrow in the bullseye of the target better than this famous archer. Yeah, in 10 minutes we can learn that. Assuming that we blindfold this famous archer, we turn him around 10 times and he does not know where the goal is. Does it make sense? Obviously, if he doesn't know where the goal is, he cannot shoot it, eh? Is it true? So, but what am I telling you? Because the same as this archer cannot win with you a competition if he doesn't see his goal, the question is, do you have a goal to reach? You, each and every one of you. Do you have a very specific thing you want to achieve in life, in your life? Do you? So what is a goal worth fighting for in your eyes? Anyone wants to share? Come on. Is it something that is important for you in your work life? Or the way you feel? Or maybe something you would like to achieve like sports? Or a dream look you would like to have? So whatever your dream is, having your goal is very important to achieving it. You cannot achieve a goal you don't have. Do you agree? So that's a very important point to have. Now, when we look at goals, a very important thing is for the goal, and it doesn't matter if it's in life or in business, by the way, is for it to be ambitious. Now, I will tell you a small story. By the way, on the photo, if you don't, if it's not similar to me, by the way, running. At some point, and I'm going to tell you a story, then I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you the story. 4 years ago, I made a bet with my son. He was then 10 years old. We're on time or we're running? We're good? So, 4 years ago, I made a bet with my son, who was then 10 years old, that I would run a marathon under 3 hours. By the way, who of you runs at least once in a while, running, jogging? So, a marathon in 3 hours for a professional is nothing. But for amateur, that means running 4 minutes 17 seconds each kilometer. When most of you know that running between 5 or 6 minutes per kilometer for an amateur is quite reasonable. So this was really ambitious. And I'm telling you this story because the reason why I took this ambitious goal was the following. I was running for many, many years before, like very regularly, but only like 30, 40 kilometers per week, just for pleasure. I didn't have too much time. I have 3 children, so everyone who has children knows how much time that takes. So that was really a side thing for me. But there was a point in my life when I had the time. So I decided, why not? Let's do it. And the ambitious target gave me a huge experience, like huge. And there's 3 main reasons why I want to share with you why it's important. By the way, this is me on a running camp. Because this was part of the experience that, because the target was so ambitious, I started doing a lot of things that were, well, let's say, out of the box, or not something I would be doing normally. So, first thing is change requires getting out of your comfort zone. Now, if you want to get out of your comfort zone, it should be worthwhile. Because if it's not worthwhile, you won't do it. Do you agree? So, for me, for example, I'll give you an example. It meant at age 40 going for the first time to running camp. With people that go to running camps like for 20 years, and I'm the first time. And also, my coach, by the way, I hired a coach. He was at the Olympic Games before. His record in the marathon was 2 hours 12 minutes. So I took it professional because I didn't have the knowledge, so I had to learn. I bought shoes, many pairs of shoes, by the way. You can't imagine how many shoes you need to have if you want to train run. Anyway, so, and he says, okay, Paweł, we need to check where you are today. If you, if you're good, at what level you are. So that was COVID times, so the races could not be held normally because of COVID. So we were running at the Olympia Stadium on a closed loop and in subgroups because they could not let us run together because it was forbidden. And there was like 5 races from the slowest to the fastest. I was in the slowest one. That was where I was. So I ran the slowest race. I finished relatively high, I think in the top 3, but my time was 22.5 minutes. Now, this coach was saying, you just love the running camp because that's where I'm supposed to go in the next week. He's saying, look, Paweł, you'll meet the people at the race. Now, I'm on race number 5. Remember that. Then there's race number 4, number 3, number 2, and then there's race number 1, and then I meet the people I'm going to train with, because those are the students of my teacher. And they ran 16 minutes. So now, me 22 minutes, them 16. You understand the difference? 5 kilometers. So getting out of comfort zone means I have to have the courage to stand next to these people who are running like a lot faster than me. And it means sometimes you will be ridiculous. Sometimes people will laugh at you. Sometimes people will make jokes at you. But if you really want to succeed, you need to go out of your comfort zone. There's no other way. By the way, have you ever achieved a major success in your life, in any area, without going outside your comfort zone? Any. Just think about it. So that's number 1. Now, number 2, we need to induce persistence. Persistence, czyli wytrwałość. This is very important because, look, do you think training for a 3-hour marathon is easy? No, it's not. For me, it meant having 250 trainings over 1 year. Meant 5 trainings per week, means 80, 90 kilometers per week. Very hard work for an amateur. I'm still working, I have still kids, I still have other things. It's just a side, just a project, really. So it's very hard. Now, what is your experience? Did any of you try to learn a language, foreign language, or train something, or go on a diet and fail? Who failed at least once in any of these things? Language, diet, or the third one was the third one? Yeah. So anybody who failed at least once. Now, most of us did at least once. Now, what is the reason for that? Because we do exceptions. And how does it work? We have a very nice program. We just bought it. It's called Diet 24 or whatever. And we know exactly what we're supposed to do. So first day, we do exactly as said in the book. Second day, exactly. Third day, what do we do? It's grandma's birthday, So you do an exception. And then what happens the next day? More exceptions. And within 2 weeks, you're back where you were, in the same place. And more than that, you're frustrated because you lost once again. And it's the same thing for dieting, it's the same for training, it's the same for learning language. So the rule is, if you really want to succeed, you have to fulfill what you planned. So now my rule was the following. My coach was deciding what I was training. I did have the right to complain and say it's too much, which I, by the way, never did. But the assumption was I always execute what was planned. Now, I also do exceptions in normal life, but having an ambitious target like that caused me to deliver 248 trainings within 250. So it means within a year I missed 2 trainings. Is that good? Now, coming back to you, if you want to really succeed, this is what you need to do. Have the ambitious target.
But you had a coach.
Okay, so that's good. A good point. If you have a coach, it's easier. But first of all, it's the kind of cost you need to pay for a person to be coaching you in that area is affordable and is possible for everyone on this board. This is number one. Number two, even if you don't, you can always have a friend that is coaching you, which means, sorry, your name? Jan. Jan becomes your trainer, and you become the trainer of Jan. So it means you're checking each other. You're agreeing on a plan, and then he's the bad guy who just makes sure you stick to your plan. Actually, you're sticking to your plan, not his, but actually yours. That's what you need him for. So a friend can be a very good support, but again, that's not the end. Now, for many reasons, I will tell the end of the story at the end, I did not succeed fully in my plan to run the 3-hour marathon. But it was a beautiful story, and after 2 years, for many reasons, also related to my health, I changed to something else. And today I'm more training into calisthenics, which I absolutely love today. But I don't really have a coach. So now the coach is me. As you said, I don't have an exterior coach. So the rule of thumb, and it's a very good rule for everything you do. As I said, dieting, very good. Learning language, learning any skill, as a matter of fact, or also doing any sports. The rule is the following. You plan ahead of the week, can be Saturday, can be Sunday, and you're the manager on Sunday. So it means on Sunday you decide, so you make the decision, and that's it. When it's Monday, there's no more decision. There's only doing what you decided the prior week. So this is my solution for training and being consistent. But it's only possible if the target is big enough. If this was a marathon that would be 3 hours 30, I would never be that persistent. Never. By the way, my previous marathon was 3 hours 42. So 3:30 would still be a nice goal. Going from 3:42 to 3:30 would be nice. But would be harder because I wouldn't be that persistent. Going to 3 hours meant I had to sacrifice everything. You understand? Anyway, so we have to be persistent. And number 3 is the question about breaking paradigms. Now, I put on a few sport photos for a very specific reason. Let's forget about the high jump because that's one story, which is very nice. But the essence of all of these stories is the following. In all of these 3 sports, when the paradigm changed, everything changed in that sport. And nobody could really compete using the old way. The first one is the high jump. And when the first person started jumping, facing their back to the pole they were jumping over, which is the flop style, very shortly, nobody could really compete with them not using that style. Does that make sense? But let's go to something more relevant to most of us. Do any of you go skiing in the winter? You know, the big things you put on your legs, on your shoes. Anyway, so when skiing, the old technology of skiing were parallel skis, which were more or less the same width on all the skis. And then somebody invented that skis would wear better if they were thinner on the inside and more wide on the beginning and at the end, which we call today carving. And these skis, at the beginning, nobody wanted to ski on them, like nobody. But then when the first professional skiers started using a model of skis that was well designed, next year nobody could really compete not having that kind of technology. So it was a paradigm change. Does it make sense? And the third one, which I showed, by the way, this is my 10-year done. Anyway, so the photo here on the left, the sailboat, is America's Cup. Any sailing fans in here? Who likes to watch sailing? So, yes, you do? Actually, now the biggest competition in the world is being held in Barcelona these current weeks. So if you are interested, it's all available on YouTube. It's beautiful. So what is the paradigm change there? So have you ever sailed in a boat? Ever? So if you sail on a normal boat, what happens? The boat has to go into the water, has to move the water, the water has to be moved, and then it has to come back when the boat is passed. And all of that technology was that way for many, many hundreds of years. And then they invented that it could fly on water, which is called foiling, by the way. So what they created is ships virtually flying on water. And when you look at this photo, you will see that the ship is over the water. You have the steer at the end, where you're deciding where the ship will go, and then you have one place where there's a special wing in the water on which they're flying. And that's it. It's all over water today. And they're flying at speeds that exceed the speed of wind by 3-4 times. And again, change of paradigm. The reason why I'm saying this is you need to change your paradigm. And a breakthrough is only possible if you change your paradigms. Only. Which means, again, that if you want to achieve the 10 times increase in your share on the VAT market, you need to change your paradigms in some way. Something you have to do. Now, this goal is very ambitious, but thanks to this goal, you will change your paradigms, because this is the only way to succeed. And this is why I'm telling you this, that this will force you to go forward. Does it make sense? Beautiful. So I would encourage you to look for the paradigm change. And coming close to the end of our presentation, I have, I think, 2 or 3 more slides. The essence of what we're looking for, and this is what we want to give you. If you have a really firm, ambitious target, like 10 times increase in the VAT market, this is really what we're showing you here. Archimedes said, give me a firm place to stand on and a lever, and I can move Earth. You know that saying. Do you know this one? So actually, what he's saying, if you really know where to use leverage, the word leverage, you can cause miracles, actually miracles. And even if today this ambitious goal may sound hard, difficult to understand, do you think it's possible? Maybe. Just maybe. By the way, you know that every big success, where does it happen first? Before it happens before our eyes. How many times do you think Iga Świątek won the French Open in her imagination before she ever won it in reality? How many times? She dreamt about it time and time again. How many times? It always happens first in our head. Over and over again. We first have to imagine it. We first have to see it. Then it happens. So, if you can imagine it, It's very possible it will happen. Coming to a conclusion, there's a famous quote that it used to be a commercial of Adidas. I don't know if you remember. It was impossible is nothing. But it's really what I think. There's really very few things that are really impossible. I think you can really achieve great stuff. And I think this is why you are here, to achieve great stuff. So this is what I would think is very nice, and I would cheer for you for you to achieve that. Now I want to give you a small token of value before we finish. That's a key thing that we see on an everyday basis. That, by the way, do you have something to write? I don't see that. Phones, no, but paper and something to pen and paper. So we have to leave that for another time. Anyway, so what I would say, I will send this small exercise to Anya to do with you afterwards. I think it will be interesting for you. Because when we look at what is the real constraint why we're not moving forward, and this was also something Christer told me, is that very often we have so much work, everyday work, that we don't have time to grow. Is that something it could be important or real for you? That you have too much everyday stuff. Now, this is very important because if you are sacrificing growth for everyday work, what you're really sacrificing is a better tomorrow for a mediocre today. And the reason why I'm saying is something you should address. You should think about it. You should consider if that's the best way you can do. Who out of you thinks he has not enough time? By the way, hands up. Not enough time. Only you? The rest enough time. Okay, good. Once again, who thinks that you don't have a sufficient amount of time on most days? Hands up. That's better. Now you're being honest. So, what I'm saying here is if it is a problem, you should address it. And there's a few short tricks I can show you. Now, I will show you one that is very, very useful, but the exercise you have to do on your own because we don't have the pens. But there's another one, and that's a key thing. How many hours per day do we use, or actually waste, on social media? Most of us. Or on TV. Or many other things that don't have too big value. I don't mean TV is bad by definition because there's a lot of very nice shows that may give value, but do we agree that most time we spend watching TV is just rubbish? So that would be something I would consider. But the exercise I would ask Anya to do with you is about multitasking, but that's a story I will leave you with. What do you think about multitasking? Is that good or bad? Bad? How bad is it? So the exercise will be done with Anya, but I will tell you what the exercise shows, what I've experienced. In most cases, if you do only two simple tasks at the same time, in most cases, it will mean it takes you 2.5 times more time. Plus, you make a lot of stupid mistakes. Plus, your level of stress, plus burnout. Who feels sometimes burned out? You don't lift your hand. But anyway, but it's something we do feel sometimes, do we? I think I know not you, but you know people that feel burned out, eh? Do you? That's a better question. So if you feel burned out at some point, the reason is you're eating too much stress. You're doing too much crappy job. You're doing too much things at one time. Do you feel something? No, I come up to the office early because then I can do some work because during the day it's too lousy, too noisy. And there's a lot of stories like that. Or I come on weekends to work because during weekday it doesn't work. And all sorts of stories like that. So what I'm saying is multitasking and doing a lot of things at the same time is very bad for efficiency. And what I would say you could try to address that as a company. You could. And if you would really address that, that should mean you can improve your efficiency for every one of you by something of possibly 50%. It means a lot of reorganization, but it is possible. We've seen it time and time again in many, many companies. So this is what I leave as like a draft project with Anya. We'll see how it comes with that. And coming to the end, because it's almost one of the last slide. Imagine you're a child. This picture. Imagine you're a child. You're sitting in this beautiful cabriolet. You're speeding, pedal to the metal, and the wind in your hair. It's fabulous. Can you imagine that? Now, you're only a child, so you're having huge emotions, but you do not know about the existence of the second gear, which obviously means you're on first gear, yes? So you're not going that fast, actually, but you're still having fun. Now, if this is laughable, because it is, if you do not manage your constraint as a company, if you're not acknowledging what your constraint is, it means that as a company, you're just like that child. Most of your potential is still being unused. You still have huge potential to grow on. This is what I mean. And this is what I would encourage you to look for. So I would like to finish with a question. What is your constraint? And probably this is not something you'll be answering right now, but it's a very good question to ask. Now, if you would be interested in what we're doing, we have a slide where we're just having one word, and I'll come back to that. Basically, what we do as a job, me personally, is we promote QC, we educate, and we do implementation. That's basically what we do. And now I will come back to that question because this is what is really important to you. What is the constraint? And if you have any questions or any comments, I would love to hear them about what I said before, but also about maybe what is the constraint of your company. Now that was a question, and the books are still there to be taken, so if you don't do the effort, there won't be any books. So you think about the questions, I'll give the books to Anna so she can fairly and squarely distribute them. So I will tell you what, now you know if it's worth asking. This is a book we published about logical thinking for kids. By the way, they're all in Polish, so it's easier to read. And it's a workbook, so you can learn more for adolescents, for like teenagers, but it's very, very good. So this is one book. Then there's another book we published last year about team management and building teams. By the way, it says good boss, dead boss, which means it's not enough to be a good boss to survive. And then there's my book on the basics of TOC if you want. And so this is what I'm passing on to Anya. Now we'll see if there's more activity about the questions and the comments. So any comments? What is the constraint? What do you believe? What do you think is the constraint of this company? Or maybe you want to comment on anything else that I mentioned before.
I can say, I think it's lack of vision.
Lack of vision. Lack of vision. Yes, a lack of, because the problem is that when it comes to numbers, it's very easy to say we want to grow tenfold because that would be nice. But then there's a very big gap from there to everyday business. So the way we approach, and by the way, it's described in that book for kids, it's very good, it's described there. The best way is to try to list all of the reasons why you will fail. Because when you list all of those, it comes very nicely to a plan of execution, what you need to do to achieve that goal. So I think vision, the goal is very nice. What I think you're saying is between vision and execution, there's a gap.
It's not that. It's
more going beyond borders. That's what I mean. And
Okay.
that's what Krista is trying to do, and I think it's working. But I guess if we all think this way, it would be easier. That's what
So
I mean.
not
we have a
everyone
vision.
acknowledges this increase.
Yeah, so we have a vision and we have goals and we have everything, right? But we can go beyond. That's what I mean.
Beautiful.
Maybe the constraint is lack of faith.
Lack of faith. Yes, I would say that's possible. Because look, the first thing I told because I really wanted to achieve my goal. By the way, I didn't finish the story. I didn't run the 3-hour marathon because I didn't run any marathon, but I did run a half marathon in 1.5 hours, which was a very, very good time. I did run the 5 kilometers below 20 minutes, which also was really reasonably nice. But I had problems with my thyroid, which caused me not to be able ultimately to run that fast. But what I'm saying is, it was a beautiful experience. And when I started my running experience, almost everyone said, "You're crazy, you will never succeed, it's impossible." So I almost did it. But what I'm saying is, people will tell you you're crazy, it's impossible, and so on. But really, what you have to do is just do a plan, step by step, and go forward. And by the way, the best way we know to do it is what I mentioned when I was saying here, is to really structurize what you have to do, all the milestones what you have to reach to get to the goal. And most probably, it means also addressing the constraint that is currently for you in your business. Which means not the constraint as a big macro constraint, which you mentioned, but more the constraint currently, which means or it's sales or it's more the operational side. Or do I have too little clients, or I have many clients but I cannot service them properly. And probably it's one or the other.
We have both.
Yeah, but then it's probably the rate of growth, which is a challenge. You know, how fast can we employ, train, and implement new people, and have new customers to service them. So yeah, problem.
I have a question. Because Paweł, I know you for 20 years maybe.
Yeah.
And the first impression when I met you was always that you are confident. So tell us how you grow your confidence, how it is to be confident on the standing on the stage.
Okay. So
How do you build it?
I think something that you learn, and this might be surprising to you, but I'll tell you a story. So when I started working in business, it wasn't always that easy. By the way, you probably know English is not my first language. By the way, it's not even my second language, my third one. Anyway, what I'm saying is, it's always challenging to speak in English, for sure. But by the way, I'll be speaking at an international conference for like a huge room of people in Germany next month at an international TOC conference. So nice practice. Anyway, when I was beginning, it was challenging. And by the way, it might be hard for you to imagine, but actually I'm introvert more than extrovert, by far more. So being out on stage and talking to people is not natural stage for me. It's something I learned. Now, my former wife was much better at that than me. Much better. But she did not do the work. So, still today, she has problem really speaking understandably. I mean, because many people have like some small dysfunctions of the way they pronounce words and so on. So still she has a challenge with that. You know, we're talking 25 years later. Me, on the other hand, I started very slow. It was very hard for me. But today, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's something I'm the best at, but it's for sure something I do. And I think I can move people and I can help them. So it's work, it's practice, and you have to be ready for people to look at you and ask you and challenge you, and that's part of life, I guess. But again, it's a question where you're ready to go. And by the way, for me, telling you I'm introvert, does it sound like going out of my comfort zone, by the way? Because it is. It is. Any more questions, guys? So, who wants to have an ambitious target? Oh, okay.
I am. Going back to this constraint, you asked everyone about being busy. I think that's one of our constraints. If you ask 90% of these people in this room about work life, and you ask them on a daily basis, how's work? I'm busy. And that's our constraint in terms of bringing in new business and dealing with the old business as well. And if everyone was honest with themselves, you'll realise I'm the Englishman in the room, the Polish. But every time I ask any of these people, how's work? Busy. Busy.
Yeah. I think it's a sense of times. These times are very busy for most of us. I mean, there's so many things we can do, like every day. We can have passions, we can watch TV, there's social media, we can have friends, we can travel. I mean, there's so many interesting things. I mean, and we're not even saying about helping others, donating your time, charity, politics. I mean, there's so many things. So it's very hard to find time for everything, that's true. But let's focus on work. What I would say is that most of the today era of work is all about open space, which is actually very, very disturbing for your work. Because the more people work in one area, the more people disturb each other. Do they not?
But mostly we work from home.
Okay, but again, working from home, if you do work from home, do you have perfect conditions there? Some of you do, but most don't. So it is challenging how to organize your work and all of your life to be really effective in your work. And what I'm saying here is we teach a concept which is called, I'm not trying to remember how it was in Polish. Anyway, the concept is that we need to have proper way of organizing work, which means we shouldn't, when we're working, disturb each other. To give you an example, for most of us, it's not necessary to answer the phone and all of these communications chatter that happen in the background. But nevertheless, most of us have several phones. On each phone have several applications with communicators, and each of these applications makes several noise to disturb us during our work. So when we're trying to work and focus on one thing, all of what is around us is disturbing us. It doesn't matter if we're at work or at home, actually. Because at work, at home is the same. There's only additional factors like a cat, a child, a spouse, doesn't matter. So what I would be considering is how can we organize systematically our work differently to be more productive? Because if we can be more productive, let's imagine, if the numbers I told you are right, and we can just improve efficiency by 50%, it would mean that whatever you did yesterday in 9 hours, you can do tomorrow in 6. Let's assume that because it's all thanks to Jan, and if it is, let's assume that he's so nice that he says, okay, you keep 1 hour for yourself and you invest 1 hour in the company out of those 3 hours. Whatever the third hour. Anyway, what I mean is, if we really invest our effort to improve your efficiency, the way you work, most probably you will have easier life, less stress, more done, and more happy. Does it make sense? So that would be probably what I would be looking at as the direction of the solution. Now, any of you plan on going on an ambitious target, personal target, anything from running or dieting or a foreign language? No way. Come on. You want to tell us about it? Pink jacket.
I just want to learn Italian.
Learn Italian. It's a beautiful language. It's a beautiful language. Actually, my spouse speaks fluent Italian. We've just been in Italy for our vacation, and I do encourage. But there's one rule with languages. You know what the rule is if you want to learn a language? Sorry. Every day, but that's part. The other part is different. If you want to really learn the language, the best thing you can do is to immerse yourself in that language. By that, I mean when you're using that language, reading that language, talking that language, do everything in that language. That's a good solution, but not always feasible, but it's a good option. I love it, Italy. A very great choice. Move to Italy.
You can do it. Working from Italy.
Is it possible for someone to work for you and live in Italy?
For 3 months, yes. No? We had a colleague, who was it? Andrzej Buczynski. He regularly traveled to Morocco or where was it? It was good.
Okay.
Less than 3 months, yeah?
Okay. Thank you all very, very much for everything. I wish you all the, can I think more or less, any more questions, guys? No, because I tend to see that there's only one question, that one table that was interested. Nobody else is interested?
Table of organizers.
We have there's somebody here. Can you pass me my microphone? And here and here. Dziękuję.
I have a question about actually finding the constraint. Is there any exercise you could recommend?
For you personally or for the company?
No, for the company that we could do, or is there any technique that?
So
it's really somebody might think that it is a constraint that might be my personal idea, but is there any workshop?
It's a very good question. So, so now then you know what the real language of the person speaking. So the first thing I would say is you should look at what are the symptoms, and the symptoms of the constraint is what you're not delivering. So it usually is that you have too much clients, and then you cannot serve these clients properly. And this means the constraint is probably inside. So you have too much clients, you're not big enough team, you're not able to grow business fast enough, and probably it means your team, the amount of people, the service system is not good enough. That's one half of the company. The other half of the company is generally sales. So it means you could have more clients, but you're not getting them at the proper rate. Now, you said both, and I do believe it could be true, but the general side of the story is that if I told you I had 10 more clients for you, could to service within, let's say, 3 to 6 months, would you be willing to take them? And the answer is, this means the constraint is probably in sales. Because it's easier to adjust to more clients than to get more clients. Now, the constraint with sales, and the problem is that most companies sell through referrals and through recommendations, which means there's a client which is happy, so he recommends you to another client. Or there's an accountant at a company you service, and he says, wow, these guys from Dooney, they're great, go to them. So in this way, from mouth to mouth, people learn about your company. But there's only a limit of growth you can achieve through that. So actually what happens in most cases is that companies such as yours do seldom have a really good sales function. This is something that is a challenge probably for you for the future. But if you know that, that's very good, because then you know what you have to do. But on the other side, what Jan said, if we do solve that conflict, that challenge, and we do have a sales function that does deliver 10 customers by quarter, it means all of you guys have a hell of a lot of work to do. Because you have to learn how to implement, let's say, plus 25% of people knowledgeable in what you do every quarter. Now imagine that. Growing by 1/4 every year. Not every year, sorry, every quarter. Now this is an entirely different challenge, but it's doable. Just not far from here, there's a company who grows its range of shops at the rate of 3 shops per day. Like with a small green frog, you maybe know. So, and they're doing it. I mean, if they can grow at that pace, why can't we? It's only a question of building a system. And there was another question here, I think.
Can you hear me? Okay. About constraints, I think one of the reasons is the preparation is that luck is connected with the preparation. So people are different. We have people confident, brave, and people who need to build the confidence. So I think one of the, if you prepare well, you have the background knowledge, support, and everyone who's, you feel inside that you can do it, you are much eager to do something outside of the box. So that's one thing. And about the life goal, I think I have a life goal. This is a little bit funny to do the triathlon. But
beautiful.
I'm not sure about
what is this?
And the funny thing is, I tell my wife I do preparation for the whole life. So my goal is to do it until I don't have the goal when I'm going to do it. So
what distance you want to?
No, I just want to do the simple one. So.
But
the small.
The 1/4, what one?
Yeah, I think it's 10 kilometers running or something, and swimming 1 kilometer, and bicycle 25 or something like that. But anyway, coming back to the subject about the constraints, preparation. The well-prepared business, the well-prepared people and mindset, I think that's the key. Okay, thank you.
So, for sure, another one there, pink jacket. So I would like to address what you said. Yes, preparation is key. Now, if you want to achieve success in any area of life, absolutely any area, you need to be prepared. I mean, it doesn't happen by coincidence. It's not like somebody gave it to Christopher. Like, he come up and they were looking for a guy, and he showed up and they said, you know, we want to give you a ready-to-run company, few hundred people, big turnover, nice logo, everything, nice office. You want to take it. And the Christopher said, okay. Do you think it happened like that? No, there was work behind it. There was preparation. So I think it's really preparation. And it's true about everything we do. By the way, I have a side question to ask. Who out of you is fully happy with your family life? Like 10 out of 10. Children are perfect, they're nice, they do what they should do, and the spouse loves you, is fabulous to you, it's perfect, like really perfect. Who gives himself a 10 out of 10? Hands up. Beautiful. No, congratulations for him. I know, it's really more. You too? Beautiful, Anya. Congratulations, Anya. But what I want to say
I think that mostly we create the happiness by ourselves.
Definitely.
We don't find it outside.
Definitely. But what I'm saying is that in her home, there's also effort to be made. It's also an area where we decide, we prepare, as we said, to be more or less happy. Approach, what you said is important, but there's another side. It's also, because it's always in your head, that's the first place where it happens, the happiness. In other words.
Barbara wanted to ask you something.
It was something else.
I want to just talk, okay.
I was just thinking about the goal we set that we want to grow. Is this really a goal? Because to me, why do we want to grow? That's the answer. I would like to know why do we have to grow, and that would be a goal for me, not just growing by itself.
So you want to connect.
I need to know the reason why.
Okay. By the way, why is a very good question. So I think this is something, Anya, you should address, a good enough why. Because doing something only for doing is not good enough. And I think you're right. But I will tell you my answer, not having consulted that with Krista, obviously. If a company does not grow, or actually anybody, if you don't grow, there's only two states, natural states in life. You grow or you die. So it's all or you're going a bit up or a bit down. Actually, if you're going down, you're dying. And by the way, if your competition is going up and you're staying, actually you're also dying. So not growing is not an option if you want to succeed in the longer term. If you want to keep the people you have in this room, they are ambitious. They want to earn more. They want to have nicer jobs. They want to have nicer cars, unless you don't want it. You want nicer cars or not? Most of you. So, if you want nicer cars, you want to earn more, you want to have a better job. If you want to have a better job, you have a better company. If you want a bigger company, you need more clients and more income. But that's a general approach. So I would say you need to grow in order to be able to deliver on the ambitions of the owner who wants to make money, but also has some ambitions generally. Is Christer special in the way he runs the business, by the way? Is he special in some way? I think he is. This is the way I saw him. Are you guys special in some way? All of you, as a community? I think you are. By the way, your openness to speak in English in an open room, I'm amazed. I didn't expect that many people that would be brave enough to come up and talk. You know, please note, for me, English is third language, but I lived 8 years in Canada as a child, so it's kind of easier. It's third language, but it's still a language I learned as a child. But for most of you, it's very difficult. So I'm really amazed. You're a great community, but not all of that. There's a third thing. If your boss is exceptional and you guys are exceptional, most probably your clients are also exceptional. Those are very interesting people you work with. And I'm saying that just to say that this is why. This would be my answer why.
Yeah, I understand that. I really thank you for saying that, but this must be presented to us, because of course if we stay in one place then we go back actually, yeah? So we have to grow, all of us, every day. But growing is not only selling more. And this must be presented the way you said that. It's not that we see the, the goal in numbers, and this is what we want to achieve. Yeah? But
yes.
We all need to know that this is for us, and this must be presented the way you just said. So thank you for that, because it's really, we need to go further, but we need to feel that it's for us.
Yes.
Not just for the company to have better numbers.
So, in my eyes, it's always the following way. The boss has to be happy. A happy boss will take care of employees of the team, and employees are happy. They can deliver good service to customers. It's never the other way around. So, we have to keep Christopher happy, then he keeps you happy, and then we can move forward. But yes, I think you should consider talking about that more openly. I think it would be very nice. Would be very nice. Any more comments, questions? Here, please.
Okay,
Okay, so I have a question because when you show the picture with guy with so many hands, I thought, wow, that's me at the reception. And like, yeah, that's it.
I'm going to send you the presentation so you can, yeah, please.
Yeah, that's me, but I'm a girl.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Ella about the EDECA. I prepare a post and then somebody come to me and ask where the pen is or can you send this? And I know that this is very important things and I want to glad everyone. But as Ian said, we all busy. And how to find I don't know
A solution.
Yeah, a solution, a gold middle, złoty środek.
Yeah.
In English.
Okay. I will try to give you some idea where you could go with that. First of all, I will tell you what is the funny part to solve this. So my employees, very often what they do is they will take a photo like that, they will print it on big size, they will write something on it, and they will do like a meme, and they will post it, and they will actually stick it just next to the place they work. So next time when somebody comes in, you say, you really want to do that to me? This is what it's saying. And basically, this funny way to make people understand how they are causing you to be very ineffective is also a way for others to understand. So that would be the first thing I would do in your place. And for this, you probably don't have to ask anybody. You just take the photo from the presentation I will give you, post it on the wall, and say, guys, no more. Never ever.
But I'm not mad at them. I know they're doing important things.
It's not that you're mad. The question is, who are you responsible for? Really. When I ask you, who are you responsible? Why do you want to do the triathlon? Is it for somebody else or is it for yourself? Really, we're responsible for ourselves. So if you're looking at the reason why you should do something, you should do it for yourself. That's most important. You do not owe anything to anybody but yourselves. Of course, if you're at work, you should be working, obviously, because you're getting paid for it. But generally, you owe only yourself. Now, saying that, telling other people that you want to be productive, so you do this and this and this, makes sense. Now, having that said, not everyone will have the comfort to work in a very good quality environment. Which means that it might be that in order for this table to be undisturbed, we will decide that on Mondays, you're taking all the phones. But it might mean that if we do that deal, on Tuesday, it will be Tomasz taking the phones. And on Wednesday, it will be Yvonne. Emilia, sorry. Tomasz I read, but this one I couldn't. So anyway, what I'm saying is that managing chaos, going from outside, is something you can decide on. And that's what I would encourage you to do. So open a discussion, how you can organize your work in a way, in a manner, that you do not disturb yourself that much. And if you treat this as a goal, it should allow you as a person to grow, but also to communicate to others, which means, for example, very often my clients ask me, and we're talking owners of companies, ask me, what do I do because my employees keep coming to me with their problems. I say, if you don't want them to come to you with their problems, you have to fire them, all of them. Then they won't come. So obviously I'm joking, but what I'm saying is, I'm telling him the following. If it's really important to them, try to organize your day within time slots. And for example, plan that in that area, you address this issue from this time to this time. For example, if you're responsible for office articles, products, paper, pen, pad, pen, and so on, you could try to communicate to your friends whenever you need something. Just send me a mail to this mail, or send me a communication to this WhatsApp account, and I will deliver it between 8 and 8:30 every day. Besides that, only emergency. If it's not emergency, I don't want to have it. Now, if it's an emergency, you always have to do it. If the boss, no, I understand it. You can try to organize your time in a better way, which means for everyone, they know. If everybody knows, for example, that the pens are distributed only at 8, they will make sure they don't ask for a pen at noon or at 3 in the afternoon, because then you're busy with something else. Does it make sense? So it's a matter of organization, and it's not something you will change overnight, but it's something you can do. So I would encourage you to try to work on that. Who was the next one?
No, I wanted to say, Pasha, talk to me next time, because I feel responsible for the reception and, reception, coming, postman, courier, and so on, and how Pasha can postpone it.
But part of the chaos, you cannot do anything. What we're actually saying is that half of the chaos is out of our reach, but we want to just close half of the chaos. Half we have to live with it. But let's assume that our objective is just take half of the chaos and shut it down. Anybody else with comments? Because there was somebody else asking. Yes, please.
Yeah, I need to say something here because I've been a reception, so I know the idea. And for me, constraint here is lack of boundaries. Because, some people can do something by themselves. So you need just set a boundary, say, no, I have to do this first, and this person will handle the pen or something small by himself.
Beautiful.
It's also like that. And this is really something that people on reception need to work on.
To be more assertive, to politely say, no, I may be busy. But again, I do agree.
Putting yourself first.
Yes, I do agree, although it does not mean you cannot help them with the pen ever. Maybe, as I said, you say, okay, I take care of pens between 8 and 8:15 every day. If you want, that's when you come, or you write the day before, and at 8 to 8:15 I give them out. But again, you are right. And by the way, is it also true what you said about relationships with clients, customers? That sometimes clients, customers will ask you for things you are not really responsible for, and it's very hard to refuse. Does that happen?
Yeah, often.
I would assume so. And now the question is, do you take all that work, or you take it not?
At this time, I don't take it. But in the past, it happened.
So you learned.
Yeah, I learned.
Now, by the way, this is also important for another reason. I do think you should take that work, because I think we should serve our clients and take a truckload of cash for it. So
I didn't mean that I didn't take it. I told them, I'm not responsible for it, but you can contact this person, telling them that I'm not the one responsible.
Yeah, so that's very good. But again, you don't want to be the person telling your customers, I will not take care of your problem. That's my belief. You should serve your clients, but where they ask you for something that is outside your normal area of responsibility, you should have very specific rules. One says what you can do extra because you like the client, you want to try extra. For example, if you're at a Hilton hotel, I think it's Hilton, I'm not sure, but I think it's Hilton. Any hotel in the chain, if you ask for something, any employee, and it costs less than 200 zloty, the employee that is working with you has the right to give it to you and decide on the point, so you are satisfied with the service. So if you want an additional, bakery, or you want to eat something, or you're not happy with the room, whatever. If it costs less than 200, the employee there decides. So this means I would be in favor, for example, if it takes only half an hour per month for you to be able to decide, do it extra for the company. But if you I know it takes 4, 2, 5, 8 hours more than normal, there's a limit where you should say, yes, sir, we would love to do that more still for you, but this is not normal service. our company accepts, requires me to invoice you for that. I can do it. Is it okay with you? And again, then it makes more sense. That's where I would go in that direction.
I just want to share that I work for external customers and I have the same exact experience. Oftentimes people ask me why to do something extra. So, of course, absolutely, we always take the job, like agree to do something, but although we don't know what it actually is or means or anything, but we'll think about it later. But yeah, and that's a great thing. So we agree to do that. And always we inform them that this is outside of the scope of the tasks that we normally do for them, so services don't be billed extra. So we normally, and that's very important for everybody to know, that we have the agreements with customers on specific service level, and then whenever something exceeds that level, then it is it's going to be.
Even if this is the official situation, please know that not all of your friends will be doing just like you do.
I know, but just want to let people know that this is what actually is working. So it's actually a great thing to do, that the customers like, yeah, sure, this company, they always like, whenever I ask them for something, they would do it for me. Like, and this is on the multiple what we have, like the different
levels, yes.
Yeah, and questionnaires with customers, they would say like they are like that. They take on anything I give them, and that's great. That's extraordinary. That is no other office.
You should be very flexible for your clients. I think this is the future. But again, you should ask them money for that. Now, there's two reasons for that. You know what are the reasons? There's two reasons. And I will tell you a story if you want. So my father has a big company doing vertical blinds, awnings, pergolas, everything that is shading from the sun. And when his main business is production and wholesale, but he has like a small retail shop, where just to have a feeling of the customers who are buying, he has one in Poznan. Anyway, so he sells his products. And when the person who wants to mount it comes to your home, most probably he will tell you, this will cost this and this money, and it will be ready within, 7 to 10 to 14 days. Now, 9 in 10 clients at that time say the following sentence: why so long? So the very well trained mounter will ask the following question: oh, dear client, so you want our special express order service? No problem. At an extra 15%, we will deliver 3 times quicker. Now, guess what happens at that point? 8 out of those 9 that said it was very important and that it was required to be done fast, say, I don't need it that fast. So, what we did here is very important, because we separated the 80% that wanted it but did not need it, would never appreciate, would never pay, would never be loyal for it. They don't care. They just wanted to burden you with their job. And the 10% who will pay for it, will be thankful, and most important, will be loyal. Because even if my father charges this guy the extra 15%, if his mother-in-law is coming, he wants it to be done before she comes. So he will gladly pay, and he'll be loyal on top. So what I would say this is what you have to do when you're considering what we said. Try to separate those clients who need from those who want. You understand the difference? Need, very strong. Want is like, wanna be, maybe. Need, really wants to pay, and will pay. We want, never. Will never pay. Any more comments, guys?
No more questions? Okay. Thank you, Paweł, for...
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.